Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another crypto video, and today we're going to be talking about Stellar XLM. Oh, you guys have been requesting this crypto like crazy. It is one of my favorite cryptos and it has been for a very long time, mostly because it looks that much like XRP. So now, what is Stellar? Little short explanation, we always look at over on CoinMarketCap because it sometimes is the easiest and it's where most people get introduced to the crypto. Put simply, Stellar is an open network that allows money to be moved and stored. When it was released in 2014, one of its goals was boosting financial inclusion by reaching the world's unbanked. But soon afterwards, its priorities shifted to helping financial firms connect to one another through blockchain technology. The network's native token Lumens serves as a bridge that makes it less expensive to trade assets across borders, and all of this aims to challenge the existing payment providers who often charge high fees for a similar service. If this all sounds really rather familiar, it is worth noting that Stellar was originally based on the Ripple Labs protocol. The blockchain was created as a result of a hard fork, and the code was subsequently rewritten. Now, that last part of being subsequently rewritten is definitely something that is left to be is left to your own thoughts, so to speak, because it is very similar. XLM and XRP are very similar, obviously, because the founder of Stellar, one of the founders of that, actually worked for Ripple before, co-created the XP Ledger, and then decided to quit after a little while. He quit because there was some dispute about their ideas, and so they created two, from some perspective, rivaling firms where with Ripple, the focus was mostly on banks and working between the banks, which is often why people called XP the banker coin, and XLM, as far as I now know, more so the peer-to-peer side, a little bit of a layer lower, helping the people more so than the entire financial system, if I may say so myself. However, as we see right there, the priorities changed a little bit, as I'm seeing Stellar dive more and more towards the complete side of the financial system, in a sense that the partnership that they've been having, the news that I've been seeing, they're doing a lot for themselves. And it's really interesting to me how Stellar used to always be number 8 or so in the rankings. Right now, it's all the way down to number 27. I said on my channel that it's mostly due to them having not that much good news, not that much going on. But if you look at what I got for you guys today, Stellar actually is not really in that bad of a position. And one of the guys, Coin Bureau, shared this. Will XRP's primary competitor outperform crypto markets in 2022? Coin Bureau's outlook on Stellar Lumens. Now, let's make one thing clear. Officially, they're not really competitors because they actually touch a different niche. And even some of the founders of Ripple, or I should say, one of the co-creators of the XRP Ledger, David Schwartz, he actually holds both of these. So if you're saying no XLM or no XRP, I think that's not necessarily the way to go, as they're a little bit different than one another. And I would say they're in some perspective more so like brothers, as we don't know which of the two is going to do their mission the best. But I personally think XRP has a bit of a higher chance of getting main adoption and do better in terms of price. Yet again, I would say XLM is not that bad a hold to just have on the side. The host of the crypto channel Coin Bureau gave his outlook for Stellar XLM next year after the XP competitor's lackluster performance in this year. In a new video, he tells his 1.8 million subscribers that while Stellar doubled its price this year, the altcoin gains are peanuts compared to the performance of other crypto. And according to him, Stellar's poor price performance can be traced to one key reason: sell pressure, specifically from the Stellar Development Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the development and growth of the Stellar network. The foundation only received $3 million at its inception, and to my knowledge, it hasn't received any additional funding since then. And this means that the foundation has been relying on the sales of XLM to pay its expenses and fund the expansion of Stellar's ecosystem. And this isn't a spectacular speculation either, as the foundation's XLM spending is clearly detailed on its mandate page, and I applaud this for the transparency. Now, the latest figures suggest that the foundation has spent over $5 billion of its $30 billion XLM so far, and the Wayback Machine reveals that about $3 billion of this XLM were spent over the last year. What's more is that a paragraph at the end of the mandate notes, as we said when we first announced this framework in November 2019, we intend to use or disperse most of these lumens within 10 years, ideally sooner. In other words, the sell pressure isn't going to stop anytime soon. And from that perspective, guys, one thing I did say when I made my video as to why I sold a lot of my XLM a couple of years ago already, I'm not exactly sure when it was anymore, I made a video saying there was a very big XLM burn. And people in my comment section were really heavily relying on that being a big factor for the XLM price. It's going to be really exciting. I told everybody, I don't think so. I think the burn is actually a bad thing for the XLM ecosystem. Because what they basically did was make sure that the majority of coins that were going to get airdropped to us, the people, because they were doing the biggest airdrop in the crypto space ever, were going to get destroyed. But only a small percentage of coins that the foundation was going to get were going to get destroyed. So basically, we would lose more than the founders would. And I was thinking, if you want to reduce the supply, then reduce the amount of coins that you're going to get more so than what the people are going to get. That was my own thought process, but they didn't do that. And so I thought, yeah, the people are going to find this out and lose a little bit of faith. And overall, it does look a little bit more like a money-hungry operation from that perspective. Then again, you also got to see it from the perspective of it's a nonprofit. They can give themselves some grants, but they can't really pay themselves that royally as they would with a for-profit company. And it is a foundation selling for the development of XLM. And that's a critical point because Stellar has been in quite a lot of important partnerships and does have some impressive numbers. For example, here a question is being asked. Stellar's networks processes about 1.8 billion transactions. So was 2021 actually the best year ever? And from some perspective, it really was. On one of the hands, the Stellar network has processed over 1.8 billion transactions, and this represents a 127% increase since 2020. The total assets available on the ledger have risen from 8.7 thousand to 90.3 thousand, which represents a almost 1,000% increase. The SDF claims the rise of the metrics suggests there's a growing interest in the Stellar network. In that sense, they added the following while showing more data on relevant assets. Quote, it's not just about raw network growth. We track growth in relevant assets tethered to real financial instruments, and relevant asset transactions since the start of 2021. We've seen an 11% of relevant assets and a 2.3x increase in daily transaction volume of these assets. So I have no idea exactly what those could be, end quote, by the way, but pretty nice. And in terms of partnership, we already talked about this, right? They got themselves USDC on there. They got themselves a couple of other quote unquote smaller partnerships in that sense. It says here, the SDF's enterprise fund invested in over $74 million in projects such as AirTM, Tala, and Wire. So they're really trying their best. They have a couple of other parts in that sense. But let's take a look at this here. How Stellar will host Ukraine's CBDC pilot with Traskombank. They got on one hand a lot of CBDC connections as they're trying to do that too in a kind of a similar fashion that Ripple wants to do, but more so focusing on the stablecoin side of things and basically helping the CBDCs in that sense because they have a lot of stablecoin knowledge. But also, of course, guys, we know that Stellar overtook Ripple's previous MoneyGram partnership. And so they really are trying every way, shape, or form to become like the standard for these stable coins. And that's a funny little change in perspective. Now, I also saw this. Tribal Credit partners with Bitso and Stellar to ease cross-border B2B payment, which is coming into Ripple's territory a little bit, But once more, Bitso Exchange will facilitate Tribal Credit's cross-border payment system by affording merchants the capability of exchanging pesos to Stellar's USDC stablecoin, which makes me think, if all these major partnerships that we're seeing right now are all focused on USDC based on Stellar, that's really nice, but it's not that huge just quite yet. I mean, where is Stellar going to come in a little bit further? Then again, it depends on whether or not we actually call these full-fledged partnerships or just usage of a thing on Stellar. As using USDC on Ethereum, you're not going to call it an Ethereum partnership, right? It just depends on how closely you work together. And that stuff I don't really know too much, except for right here, hosting a CBDC because you're so familiar with stablecoins. That's a different piece of cake, That's really bullish stuff. That's really nice. Now, accepting crypto payments is the new cool for businesses. Don't be left watching from the sidelines. I kind of came by this one, mostly because when you look at it, Stellar is trying to become like the base for a lot of stablecoin partnerships, as I now know, plus trying to get this CBDC, I guess, rolled out on their end. I'm wondering if they're changing their perspective from going purely P2P and facilitating in all that sense, like they do with MoneyGram right now, to taking a little step further to just hosting everything they can from CBDC to just a lot of stablecoins and whatnot. Because if that was the case, then why not more stablecoins this closely? Or what exactly is their plan that they want to go for with USDC? Is it so that they can at least get the Stellar name out there or what? I'm not exactly too sure just quite yet, but I've noticed a little change in their perspective and their strategy. And I do like the direction that they're going in because the price obviously is not really up too much just quite yet, but because of the fundamentals, it can definitely go there. And in terms of price prediction, hidden RSI divergence hints bullish reversal for Stellar coin. If I look at the fundamentals, Stellar has been doing well. We cannot deny it. It's been a pretty good year in terms of, real, I guess, on-chain data. not necessarily in terms of price just quite yet. That, of course, also means we have a better chance of getting ourselves a juicy freaking gem at this point, because even though they've been doing bad, that does not mean that that will replicate into the future. Now, one of the other major reasons why I think the XLM price has done bad is because all the people know if XLM and XRP are so similar, it's literally a fork. If XRP goes down and loses this lawsuit, Stellar is next. And so I honestly believe that the price is going down from Stellar because they know it's going to be dependent on the XRP/Ripple lawsuit. Since they haven't been sued, the price didn't really crash severely, which could happen if they do end up getting sued. But because Ripple basically faces the repercussions, I think XLM is actually facing them too, while not having the official label on there. But that's ultimately also why I think that XLM has a pretty good risk to reward, because if XRP wins, I think XLM is also going to be exponentially growing because of Ripple's victory. It's just my thought process. Now, you might be able to point at a couple of different reasons for why the XLM price is in a really good spot right now. I'm not really a TA type of guy on coins that I don't trade daily, so an XLM, for example, we can look into, but I don't think it's too relevant, as I like to really know my stuff whenever I talk about it. And all I can say about XLM is I think it's fallen down really significantly. I don't think it deserves the spot that it is at right now. It's gone down way more than it should have had. Then again, there is something to be said about it if they did sell this much, right? Here it says, in October, the Rubens Giant announced that it was integrating the Stellar blockchain into the network for, again, USDC, we talked about before, and MoneyGram, enabling cash funding and payouts in local currency for consumers using USDC, which was Stellar's USDC. The only demand for XLM is coming from institutions the Stellar Development Foundation is partnered with, which again is what they're funding it for, and these partnerships are only starting to reach their final form. On the bright side, this paints a very bullish picture for XLM in 2022, and I could see XLM retesting its early 2018 highs if its MoneyGram partnership delivers on its promises, because of course that's really big for your name as well. Stellar also has no shortage of upcoming milestones, which could attract both retail and institutional interest, and I'm going to kind of hold myself to that. Our record high in 2018 January was about 87 cents. Now, if you look at the price alone though, and I kind of compare it to XRP, really, it's honestly not that crazy. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys think about it differently, but I don't think $1 or anything like that is actually too crazy for XLM. Also because if you compare it to XRP, right now it's like at just 1/3 or so of its end goal price, but in terms of amount of coins out there, it's actually not really that much. I don't know. I just thought that XLM always had a better performance than it did. It's interesting to me how it's pretty undervalued at this point, I would say. So yeah, quite a lot of good stuff to come for XLM. I'm a big holder. I got rid of a lot of coins back in the past, but that's of course because of some, I guess, change that the team made. I still am a pretty big holder, and I still am pretty excited about them. I still believe in the process. I still believe in the project. And even though there's some selling pressure, ultimately it's for the betterment of the project, so can't complain too much. But let me know in the comments down below if you're still holding, if you're still excited, and if you want more videos on XLM and XLM news, as I am just getting started. I haven't done a video on XLM in so freaking long, guys. So I'm also, of course, getting into it a little bit. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can by giving you guys all the raw details and making a choice for yourself. Not financial advice, obviously, and hopefully you guys all did enjoy it, as I'm trying my best.